Yo, how's it going, folks? Welcome to episode 153. Kind of close enough. I'm not doing that again. I'm not going to get caught in this thing of trying to perfect that hand gesture movement. Jazz hands over here. Yeah, welcome back. Another episode, another week. I'm gonna reference it just so I don't complain about it. But yeah, we did have sun one day, I think. 2 days. 2 days. We had 2 days of sun. So summer's over. That was wonderful. Welcome to autumn, people. Hope you're having a wonderful time. No, honestly, I hope you're having a good time wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and you're enjoying summer with some wonderful people, making some wonderful memories. Some good things in the news here. I do want to discuss cannabis-wise, but I think with today's guest, we'll find an opportunity to slot them in with little segues as we go. I don't want to fill your ears with too much crap, so we're going to jump straight into introducing today's guest, who is now a third timer. It's actually a year tomorrow since I last had you on, so it does seem to be coming your yearly slot last week.
I look forward to it.
Of July. Yeah, so today's guest, folks, as you might recognize, is a marketing and sales veteran, formerly of Facebook, or the UK part of Facebook. I don't know really how Meta works with its all diffused offices and its tax havens and whatnot, but we're not going to hold Matt accountable for that because he wasn't in financing. The chief executive officer of both Milk and Amber, a UK-based cannabis marketing agency, and the CEO as well of Product Earth. I've got here the UK's largest natural medicine weekend experience. Are you still billing yourselves as that, guys?
Yeah, absolutely. We're kind of constantly evolving. And actually, I was speaking to someone about this the other day. Hello, everybody, by the way.
Hi, Matt.
Hi. So, yeah, it is one of those things because we're in our 9th year now as well. And I think that does make it the longest running show. Obviously, I've only been involved since after the 2019 show, but we have kind of taken stock of the journey that we've been on. And we started 2015. It was very much like this kind of like cultural movement back then. And it was difficult to speak out without fear of something coming back at you. And then as legalization for prescription cannabis came about in November 2018, it meant that for our 2019 show, we could speak more openly about things. And we started branding ourselves as like the largest cannabis event. And we introduced our medical zone and the consumption zone. I think we were the first event to ever have like a consumption zone where you can't combust. Stuff like that, keep patients safe and all that jazz. And now what we're looking at is this kind of being a showcase of all natural medicines. And there's a reason for that, a good reason for that. I mean, there's trends in the market, right? If you look at Grass & Co. or actually any number of CBD brands, they're now pivoting. They're moving into the world of mushrooms, nootropics, and all of those wonderful things. I'd have to say I've leaned into nootropics in a big way. Had my lion's mane this morning, feeling fantastic. But there's a good reason as well from an optics point of view, because although the FSA is sniffing around various mushrooms right now and they're probably going to try and get their claws into it, you genuinely feel the impact of these mushrooms when you're taking them in the morning. You feel great. CBD is more about what you don't feel, whereas the nootropics, you feel great. And when you can start to draw lines between other forms of natural medicines and the hypocrisy where this is completely acceptable and there's no stigma, this has lots of stigma, I think it helps reach out into new markets and get people to understand that actually cannabis is not the devil's lettuce. I feel like we talk about this every single time, but there is still a stigma, and it's often perpetuated by people that are doing it inadvertently. So yeah, I think this is it's a nice wholesome way to reach out to new audiences, welcome people to the wonderful world of natural medicines, and hopefully break some of those bad habits that they have in their day-to-day lives. That's the plan anyway.
Nice. All right, sweet. I suppose I'm just going to signpost actually people back to previous episodes for a bit more of a background on yourself, given that we're a little bit time limited today. I do want to ask you, we will go on to various questions to concentrate more on Product Earth shortly. Yeah, but obviously in the introduction there spoke of Milk and Amber. How are things sort of going with that sort of project? Is it coming together? Are you happy with sort of direction of things?
Yeah, do you know what? Milk and Amber's actually really started to find its feet. We're a small team. We service a small number of clients, and that's anything from full service marketing all the way through to consultancy and stuff like that. And we're working with vape brands, we're working with licensed producers, we've just started working with Script Assist, which actually I'm really excited about as well, and Lumino and the likes, and obviously Product Earth. The Milk and Amber team work on Product Earth as well. So each client's different, they all have different needs. But yeah, we have a lot of fun doing that, and helping them reach their business goals.
Nice. Good to hear that it's sort of going from strength to strength, as it were. I'm trying to I'm looking at my notes here, and I want to make sure I order these questions in a way that kind of free flows pretty well. Yeah, there are some maybe controversial comments that have been sort of made online that I think it's probably better to address up front, and then we can kind of move on to the fun of what Product Earth is, what you're planning, etc. I know obviously there is, like I said, some controversy. Some people that are not necessarily too happy Product Earth is obviously moving this year. Some people have responded negatively to that. I will admit, I myself being one of them. I just, as somebody living outside of London, whenever something is announced in London, you roll your eyes because it's basically a different country. So the rest of England or the UK and the devolved kingdoms are sat there going, well, where's our shit? And I think that's kind of left a little bit of a sour taste in community members' mouths. But the thing that I wanted to sort of address here was some comments that were made on the UK CSC Instagram page, sort of about Product Earth. And again, I will agree to a certain extent. I don't think Curaleaf is a good sponsor fit, personally. I understand the need to take money for sponsorship, and that's my beef, but I wouldn't hold that against you guys as an organization. But in the thread that was created by this post, there was an accusation sort of made that the UK CSE were assured shares upon the sale of Product Earth, and they alleged that this was reneged. Is there any light that can be shone on this? I know it's controversy and it's difficult, but I would be remiss if I didn't address it, Yeah,
that's fair enough. So this conversation, if it did happen, was before my time. And I've obviously spoken to the founder and explored it because I don't like these things hanging over us. I think it's bad news, isn't it? But the reality is there is no paper trail. There's no evidence of it ever happening. So I think it's kind of actually, you kind of just split. It's two people just arguing against each other, which does happen in this community. I know what was given. I know that free space was given, sponsorship was given, awareness was given, and there was a lot of value that was provided to the individual for free, and continued over the years. And this was during a time where this individual also had a hate campaign going against him as well. But James stood by him and did all of these wonderful things. I mean, I'd imagine if I was to read between the lines, I'd probably say it was some kind of a profit like share type situation. The profit share of a negative number isn't good. So all of the risk was taken on by James. Product Earth doesn't make any money. Like that's the harsh reality. I hope no investors are listening because sooner or later we may need some cash. But we don't have money. Like when I joined in 2019, I came on and put in a significant amount of my own money to keep the show going. It's never been sold. That I know that's something else that's been flagged, that it's been sold and all the rest of it. Simply not true. And I think this is the problem with the internet, isn't it? It's wonderful that everyone has a platform to have their voice heard, but misinformation shared very, very easily. And I'm actually going to have a chat with this individual later on today to just get to the bottom of it all. I'm not shying away from anything, but as far as I'm concerned, there's no evidence of these conversations ever happening.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, on the profit comment, yeah, on Company's House, your accounts are up to date. So obviously, I think
they're all there.
I'm not going to direct people, but it's public record. It's a difficult situation. I obviously want to do my journalistic due diligence and what I feel is my duty within the space. But given the potential controversial history that I have with, again, I'm choosing to not name the individual because I don't want to cause an issue.
Exactly that, yeah.
The page is where the comments are made, and I think that's the public element of it. So that's where I'm drawing sort of attention to highlight this. I think it's fair for you to say that it's before your time. I think it's the cliched CEO thing of it wasn't me, but you're right, and in the lawful sense, it does seem to be a disagreement between two individuals over, if anything, maybe a verbal contract, but that's a very sketchy thing in law in this country. We're not quite the Yanks and the litigative. I can never say that fucking word.
Close. But
Proclivities, you know what I mean?
do you know what, Simpa, as well? I think, just to be 100% clear, whilst it was before my time, I'm diving into this. Like,
Oh no, and yeah, I again, I
am,
respect the fact that you're taking it head on and even having this conversation in a public forum like this. Again, that's why I tried to clarify at the outset with, you know, this is controversial and it is quite difficult. I think it does you good to address this. I think the more we can communicate amongst the disparate and diverse elements within the community, the better for every member of the community. There is a lot of history that a lot of people don't know. Like you're talking about that hate campaign, there was a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of individuals that set up organizations against other people. There were people that paid for conferences and for meetings and set up fucking like Telegram groups and all sorts just to destroy the reputations of other people. It got very muddy for a while. And again, I'll take this opportunity to hold my hand up. I maybe didn't do my due diligence as well as I should have in the early days, and I ended up believing con men, confidence men, people that spoke confidently that I believed in. It wasn't until I delved into the language and the laws and what is really happening here before I could start to decode these passionate people and hear what they were really saying. Whereas it's so easy to get caught up in that fervor. And I again recognize that as somebody who can get very passionate when I speak, and people go, "Oh, you're right. It's a power when it comes. It's a privilege, I guess, that comes with power, you know, and you have to be responsible with it." So, yeah, I want to see these bridges rebuilt, you know.
Totally, and it's a crying shame, isn't it? Is one of the first things that was said to me when I kind of joined Product Earth was like, "You'll be surprised. There's this thing called the community, and everyone argues with everyone. Everyone puts each other down. It's not like the community around the world." And it's a shame because you kind of see some. I'm not saying that's how everybody is, but there's definitely some evidence of it. But hey, if you've been working in the industry for 15, 20 years and you've been bitten and burnt so many times, of course you're going to be frustrated. So I try not to take anything like this personally. I want to treat everyone with respect. I don't throw shade. You know that about me. And I'm going to talk these things out and try and get to the bottom of whatever the issues are. And hopefully we can find some happy way of moving forward. Because like I said, I respect these individuals and everything they've done for so many people across the UK and beyond.
Yeah, and that's the thing of it. The UKCSC has a great history and legacy. There are obviously issues where we all fell into this manipulation leading up to the 2018 legislative change, where basically everybody that wasn't medical but respected people that had that medical requirement, as it were, we laid down arms and we joined the front line. And there was a betrayal there. There was this thing from grassroots, self-identifying, self-reliant, small collectives was what was promised when they walked in the door. And when they came out the door, we've seen the kind of corporations. And I think that the seeing Curaleaf as a sponsor, sorry to linger on this, I know the response, and I'm not asking you to speak negatively of them. I'm not going to, obviously I understand the ties there. I do want to take this as my platform to voice that Russian oligarchy money is effectively what has set up Curaleaf. It's two Russian, a Russian and an American expat, I think, or he's lived in America, lived in Russia. I can't remember his bio off the top of my head. But it's more their campaign in America against home grow. Every state they operate in, they put lobby funds towards being anti-home grow. I think obviously the reason UKCSC posted that post is they are hashtag right to grow. They are for the homegrown collective, and I can see why there is then that friction. I can understand from a business perspective. I'm anti-capitalist. Everybody knows me, knows that. But I can understand from I can understand from a perspective of, like you say, the heritage as well of Product Earth deserves its legacy. It deserves to run as a Glastonbury into the future. I've said this over the years to the founder, to yourselves, to others involved. And that has to then adapt and change over time. And some years it'll look different to other years. And there are certain things that when you do things officially, like I'm running an event in Durham this weekend, and I basically have bullied the cops. We ain't worked with the council. The council will get the police to stop us. If the police won't stop us, book the council. But we're like an anarchist group almost, you know, we're a non-profit. So we're allowed to kind of play within that space. Whereas then to create the kind of facility that you are trying to do, or Product Earth has always sought to do, which is bring in representative small groups to stand together in that space. So for a few days, we can all touch base with each other. What have you been up to since last year? What are you doing this year? What's your new innovation? What's your new thing? Check out my new bits. Look at this new thing. You know, to be nerdy and love weed and to come together. That's the community that you speak of. And it's so, there are people, the community is such a loose word. And I now have gone to terming like legacy culture. And so people who are part of like the legacy culture are people that are cannabis lifers. They're not tourists per se. They're not people who've gone, oh, it's suddenly medicine and cool and I can get vapes and all, like, and they're jumping into it. No offense to any novice or newbie. You're very welcome, guys. But you didn't put in the hard days of Rocky Tack and a Coke can. You know, you didn't know that when you got weed that one time for 6 months, you're going, what the hell is this thing? You know what I mean? Like, it's different realities. I'm not saying that then they shouldn't be allowed what they've got, but it has to pay homage and respect to what has been in the same way Pride Festival does for queer culture. They honor Stonewall, they honor the suffrage, they honor the difficulties that people's sacrifices that led to their ability to be proud and free and open. And eventually there will be cannabis pride. And I hope that we will look back and honor the people of this time period and previous that have, you know, moved it forward, because each generation, each year, another person, another community, another subset of people are protecting cannabis from prohibition, and now in some way from the legalizationists. You know, and that's that core culture. And people in community, they come in and they look at the words and they learn it and they go, well, I want to make money, so I'm going to sell weed and I'm going to use the buzzwords. I'm a community member, I do this for the patients, and all these phrases and whatever. And then, but they'll turn around when they're in the trapping circles and they're trying to act hard and that, and they're like, oh no mate, I don't smoke it, I just grow it, like about their crops. And you're like, all right, yeah, what you fucking put in it? Like, what do you grow with? Where's your pride? Do you know what I mean? There's so much fuckery that is within that sphere, but there's also that genuine you Dave who gets to week 8 and goes, it's not good enough, it's coming down, we'll start again. Do you know what I mean? There's a spectrum. Same in the corporate legal world. There's genuine, sincere business people who are just went to uni, got a degree, good middle class individuals that are now like, well, actually, I did enjoy cannabis and I do like it, and they deserve a place too. But if that's the starting point, we're automatically gentrifying, and that's what I think a lot of people's hesitation about when they see it go to London. That's what they see, is this gentrification, this classist paradigm that played out in prohibition play out in air quotes legalization.
Yeah, and I get it. That's absolutely fair. And I mean, even the point you were making about the legacy market versus community, I think it's probably more inclusive language. I mean, I've found the community, bearing in mind the very nature of what a community is, to actually be quite exclusive and not welcoming of other people into it. It's like, hey, no, you weren't here when we were here, so you're not part of this. You're something else. And that flies in the face. That's very kind of hypocritical. So I do like your language there, and obviously language is important, as we know, Simpa. So that's really good. I mean, the way I always look at it is there's different cohorts within this said community, and there are some parts of it which don't really gel with me. This gang culture stuff. I mean, people walking around balaclavas and stuff like that. I don't like that. That's scaremongering. That's, if anything, as far as I'm concerned, actually builds the stigma. That's like, oh, that's what we're doing.
Well, that's that no face, no case.
Yes,
and that's. But the thing is, and this is what I've had arguments with doctors and academics about this, and it's difficult, but we all have to recognize that no group is a monolith by exactly what you're saying. So you can't then go, well, what is queer culture? It's this. You all have to be this. If you're not in it, you're not queer. You're not. You've done it wrong. You're not wearing the uniform. You're not saying the right phrases. It's a self-identifying, overarching group, and that's what the people of sincerity feel the cannabis community is.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, I was like, am I ringing? Hello?
But yeah, you're completely right. Okay, and
so sorry to finish off, but their culture is valid to them, and that's their experience. This is what I was saying about the legitimized dealing. If we can have corporate retail and whatever else, dealing is a legacy culture. That's like us legalizing homosexuality but denying, I'm not going to give a vulgar sex act, but you know what I mean? Like, you only allowed some parts of it. It's no, if we do all of it, it's all of it. And you might not like what that looks like, but that's theirs and fair. And they are building their own events and their own spaces and their own culture. And that does need legitimizing. But yes, it does pick up a lot of problems with police. They're getting targeted by county lines and things like that. And obviously there are some international, frankly, sorry guys, some international dealers. They are people that have set up a brand in one space and now they're an international brand and they use this to wholesale move their products to then sell them to local vendors in local areas, and they're building brands via the back door. And that to me is legitimate commerce, but because of its attachment to other criminality, exactly what you're saying, yeah, it makes it look, whoa. Whereas if we could have that legitimate conversation and go, well, that should look like car boot sales. So they should be nerdily pulling up in all the pimped out cars and then selling weed out the boot to each other openly, no mask, like the thing of it. But I can also then, like I said, I understand that culture. I can sympathize with feeling like you need to carry a knife, feeling like you need to cover your face. Do you know, it's not my life, but I understand that.
Yeah, I'm a pacifist, so I'll never agree with people carrying knives and weapons and things like that.
I didn't say I'm agreeing with. I said I can understand. There's a big difference. I can understand more because again, it's like if I was born you, raised as you, lived as you, I fucking would be you. So I would justify everything because I'm you. Do you know what I mean? So it's there's those limitations. There are then obviously proliferal crimes and other things, and I definitely do not want to see a culture of people bringing weapons to something like Product Earth. That's an insanity, you know. But again, it's
they wouldn't get
London. What event was it? I went to go see Prince Fatty and the Horsemen in Brixton. What was the venue? God knows what it was. And it was on and it finished at 4, first trade tube out.
The Academy, isn't it?
No, it was further down the road. There's Hootenanny, there's the Academy, and then there's something across the road. It's like a pub venue. And basically, the security dude, you have to go through a metal detector and shit. And I had a backy tin with like 20 pre-rolled fucking blunts in. And the dude fucking took it off me. Luckily, I had a couple more like other things like on me, so a couple more joints. And what I did was he sort of rejected us from that, took the bits, and I was like, I'll come back in a minute, mate, sort of thing. Hid me bits by a wall, and then basically had to keep lying to him and going, I need a cash machine or whatever, so I could go out of their smoking area to go and get my joints to go back in. Like it's every time he's like patting me down and that, and he's like. And I'm like, I've got the cash, mate. I just need another drink, and it's just so. You know what I mean? I don't want this to feel like buying weed in Cali. People are like, oh, Cali weed. But if you've actually been to California, you've walked past the guard with his gun, you've gone through the bulletproof glass, through the airlock, surrendered your ID.
Yeah,
that's
also, not all Cali weed's great. Everyone needs to calm down a bit about that.
Wait, there's a big thing at the minute of the Thai weeds flooding Europe.
Oh, I haven't had any Thai weed actually. Not since my.
It's all you. It's same as UK. It's UK, so it's like it's Cali. They're all calling it Cali because it's Cali genetics, but it's then it's grown in Thailand and shipped back over here in the same way UK Cali and all of these kind of.
With a nice authentic Thai stick, I'd like to get my hands on some of that. That'd be great.
I do think there are a few companies that have been working on this. I mean, Thailand, interestingly, I think. 2 days ago, 3 days ago, a few days ago, they announced about the narcotics rescheduling, that cannabis is going to be kind of slightly separate. The language, it's difficult to translate Thai to English, so until a Western news source picks it up and really translates it for me, I'm not quite sure of the situation, but it does look like there is a potential for them to try and keep a section separate. I think they've obviously gone way too far. I mean, Greenhouse have just opened their 5th fucking dispensary, I think, in Thailand, and this is supposed to be like no foreign-owned brands and whatever else in Thailand's supposed to be. You need a national to own majority of the business, exactly. Yeah, and Thailand's money laundering laws are quite interesting. It's all, when you look at it, it's like a small group of people are traveling around the world and landing in these places and lobbying governments, and then all this money falls through and it disappears. And it's just the same group of venture capitalists, it would seem, that go in, oh, we've got an idea, we'll do this. Oh, yeah, IPO. And then off that cliff, everybody goes. And I was like, where's the fucking money? I had an argument with somebody the other day about like a £5 a month membership. I was like, mate, you can't understand how broke some people are. £5 a month is an enormous thing to them. If you're asking, like a lot of people, like most of the people I know now that are self-sustained on cannabis, they're still broke. But weed isn't a source of financial loss to them. Do you know what I mean? They always have enough that they can share with other people, but they don't then think to put it outside of that because they don't want to make money. They don't want to be a criminal, as it were. It's so frustrating when there's other people that are then exploiting that plant, making all that money and taking it away. Yes, we need a new model. It's interesting. We've seen Transform. the drug organization, they've just announced Legalise UK campaign.
Yeah.
I was literally, that's what I was reading when you hopped in the room when we started recording, and there is language in that that's like, we are not taking any money from those that would financially benefit from the legalization of cannabis in the UK, which is interesting language. I put up a half sarcastic comment when I was half asleep on one of their Instagram posts the other day, being like, is this going to be just another corporate vessel for venture capital, blah, blah. And they responded quite eloquently. They were like, well, basically, no. And I'm going to reach out and try and get someone on the podcast to talk about the language, because my problem with it at all is just Legalise UK, because me and Chris Tasker are talking about launching Decriminalise UK as a campaign to decriminalise all cannabis-related offences, which is automatic legalisation, automatic NHS access, automatic full industrial, automatic full commercial. There'll be no restrictions on cannabis whatsoever.
Yeah, it's just the way to go.
Yeah, but I think Transform, I want to include something like that, but the way they've put like government regulation, the government regulation is enforced either through civil infrastructure or criminal punitive infrastructure. So you either criminalize through something, so like trespass is a good example. Trespass, civil offence, fine, slap on the wrists, if at all prosecuted. I think it's a maximum £1,500 fine, about 200 quid for first time offenders. But majority of that is you'll be asked to leave. You can even be given a few discretional times and opportunities to leave. If you don't leave, that becomes aggravated trespass, criminal offence. You then get prosecuted for that. That's a criminal record forever on you. Whereas the other is like a parking charge. Do you know what I mean? And it's, which regulation model are we going to look at? You can obviously have 5 too many plants. Here's a fine. Or is it doors going off at 3 a.m? Do you know what I mean? That's what I worry about when we see legalization, because where that's applied around the world, it's still by the gun. It's not a knock on the door going, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. Like, it is if you're a company. One of the companies in Cali told me that basically if they break any of the ordinance but they have the license, they will get paperwork. You'll get a boring guy with a clipboard. You won't get SWAT breaking the door down. But if you don't have that license or any of the infrastructure connected to that to look, air quotes, legitimate, you're still a druggie, and they will take your door off with the SWAT team. And so it just creates this two-tiered system, whereas decriminalization of all aspects,
it's tricky, right? Because you want to keep people safe at the end of the day. And whilst within the community, a lot of people can find high-quality cannabis on the illicit market. They can. There are other people that can't, and it could be sprayed with anything. And then you see on the front page of the Daily Mail, oh, I smoked cannabis and stabbed my husband. Well, that wasn't cannabis, was it? It was spice. And that perpetuates the stigma. So there needs to be some form of regulation. I mean, I kind of see a world where you'd have almost 3 different licenses. You'd have a home growers license, you'd have a social club license, and then you would have a large scale, or a social club or craft, and then a large scale facility to be growing for the masses, because there's scope for everybody to be able to grow. For what it's worth as well, just to kind of let everyone know the stance of Product Earth, we are pro grow your own. We believe in access to all. We are pro social clubs. We are pro private prescriptions. We are pro NHS. All of these things, we are basically the Switzerland. What we do is we provide a platform to make sure everyone's voices are heard. What can happen is people become closed off to other conversations, and they're like, no, it's my way or the highway. And then they wonder why there's no progress being made. There has to be a bit of give and take. And Simpa, like we spoke yesterday, right? And you said that when you were dealing with the Durham police, back in the day, you were being argumentative, you were being confrontational, and you were met with that resistance. If someone pushes you, push back. But actually, when you're going there being more collaborative, you can still be fairly forthright with what you're trying to do and say,
and how
this is happening. So you can still do that, but you'll suddenly find that actually people are quite welcoming to your conversation. And if you can't work with people that don't agree with you 100%, then you're not going to work with anybody and no progress will be made. So on the Curaleaf thing, right? So they have, I mean, obviously what they're lobbying for is in the US, it's not the UK. Okay. I do not agree with them. We do not agree with them. They also help more patients in the UK than any other clinic. That's a fact. So, yes, as a show of our nature, we should have them. And I'm very pleased that they are sponsoring the show. It doesn't mean I need to agree with every single thing that they say. And I'm happy to work with them, helping patients on clinics. And if their conversation about grow your own comes up, I will tell them they're wrong. The other thing to think about is for the people that are talking about growing their own, they're probably not actually after a clinic anyway. So just don't go and speak to them. That's how you kind of get ahead. Don't go and speak to these people. You're not after a prescription. You're after something different. But rather than trying to shoot people down and destroy things, find people that do share common thoughts and build something. And, it's with Product Earth. Hate is going to hate. What we'd rather do is focus on the people that are positive. This is why we don't throw shade, why we don't call people out, all that kind of nonsense, because it's destructive and it doesn't build industries. It kills them. So we will find people that do want to come and enjoy the show, that do want to build their business, and we will collaborate with them and do anything we can to help at the show and beyond, as you will see, as you have seen, hopefully. I'm blowing my own trumpet. I hate that, but we do work outside of Product Earth and Milk and Amber as well. I do charity fundraising. That was painful having to do it, by the way. I had to do like 10K a day, but really enjoyed it because it felt like I was giving something to intractable epilepsy, a great cause. I dare say there's going to be someone saying, no, it's not, but it is. It's a great cause. It's helping people who rely on that medicine to actually gain access to it. Do loads of pro bono work. There's lots of brands out there that can't afford an agency, that can't afford a stand at Product Earth. Well, you know what? I'm here to help with my limited time, and we do. I've helped unblock people's pages. I give people advice on how to get messages across and all that kind of stuff. So I think what people really do need to do is start to come together and find the positive in what people are doing, rather than just trying to pick holes in it. Because if we do that, we're going to end up with nothing. That's why we can't have nice things, right? Everything just keeps getting destroyed. This is cancel culture. What we really need is a collaboration culture.
Yeah, it's the atrophying of a muscle. The more you focus on just the negative, you are training your brain to only see the negatives.
Yeah.
If it's the shit sandwich, if you really have a good criticism of somebody, you feed them a shit sandwich. You give them that little bit of, hey, here's your thing, and bleh. Then you finish the thing, and then they'll respond to you. If you're just trying to vent your frustration at somebody on the internet, I'm sorry, but you've lost. You've lost. Like, I'd say that as somebody who spent a long time on the internet. As you said about my approach with the police, I was like, no, I'm doing this. I'm fucking doing this. Whereas I've learned in the years since our previous interactions with them, granted we're under a new administration, but my approach now is, here's who I am, here's what I've done, here's what I'm doing. I would like to work with you. Like, you're aware of what I'm going to do. I know the law. I reminded them of my rights as a patient, the Equalities Act. I reminded them of their attestation and the structure of policing in terms of them as individual corporations, and the fact that I can sue the officer. And they were just like, when they rang me, they were like, we're just here to protect your human rights. And when I spoke to them last week, they basically went, we see no reason to police this event. We trust you. We trust what you have done and what you are going to do. And I'm like, I've told you what I'm going to do. Like, I've been really honest with them, Matt. And they were like, yeah. Because, again, they don't see a problem with it. And then when I said to them, the reason I want to do this, because I laid it all out in a giant email, my phased plan, is we're going to do these public events. We're going to fundraise. You're going to help me now. I've now got authorization to use private security on that public section to be able to regulate the spot. We're then going to move into private venues to generate more revenue. And then, as I've said to them, you're going to help support me as the protest liaison team to open up a physical space. You can either deal with me every Saturday, which is what I'll grow to do. I'll just sit on that field every Saturday and put hundreds of people there. Yeah. Or you go, okay, the council have got this old building, and maybe we could just, do you know what I mean?
We've lost this one, have the space over there.
But they're so respectful and understanding of the change now, because when I explained the hypocrisy of it, and I was saying, look, I want to set precedent, as I did with our previous events. There's some antisocial, and I said to him, look, I know the irony of me saying to you about people breaking the law, that there's some people that are antisocial, but we want to self-police that as we used to. We want to reconnect good people with good people. So good vendors, good growers, good people that know their shit with the actual people. So no one's relying on just, I got this elbow number. No offense to the Albanians, but that's how people speak, of just elbow, And they're just then buying ammo or wedding pancake or dog variants. It's still silly money compared to you buying the ounces at 80 quid, 70 quid in some spots in the UK at the minute. It's ridiculous. Like there was vendors at one of the events I was at in the UK selling guava dog, one of their staples, for 7 grams for 30 quid.
Yes, I don't like the guava.
And they were making the profit on it.
There's something about the taste of it. It kind of makes my mouth water. It's not.
There's a standardization practice amongst the different collectives. Again, the Albanians are not a monolith, but the ones that then work in cannabis, you tend to have families, groups, more close-knit individuals that will then spread out. Basically, what you do is you come over here as a teenager, you work in a house, you grow up, you then get a house, you then run with the teenagers, you run to your mid-20s to your 30s, and then you go back to Albania or Spain, or you go live wherever you want to live, and you run your line from another country as an expat. Yeah. And the money just runs up. And so their system that they're doing, they then go, oh, we're putting this in. So this is our product. So it's these genetics from this company. We use this starter, this finisher, this. And yeah, frankly, there's some fucking stuff in there that shouldn't be in your plant outdoors that you don't even eat, that you look at, let alone in something that you volatilize and you combust and you consume. And again, best practice. We want to reconnect people and set that precedent. And I've said to the cops, look, these thousands of people are going to consume cannabis in your jurisdiction anyway. You can either have them constantly needing a large supply from huge gang networks and then being exploited, that money leaving the area and us being impoverished, or we can find and champion people within that community who can grow, who are self-sufficient, who can supply for others. We can test those products and self-supply and then keep all that money in-house as the community. If, Dave needs help with his rent, here's our fucking slush fund. Do you know what I mean? All the kids need some new uniforms. Here's slush fund. There's like Kush Tea down the road. I was trying to be a bit quiet about Kush Tea because they are public, but they're not. They do some fucking amazing work. They've got a full downstairs boxing ring, gym and that now. They do kids exercise sessions and stuff downstairs. They've got a full working kitchen. They do different themed nights every night with like games nights, pool competition, quiz nights.
Like a consumption lounge type thing. It's
a 4-story cannabis club. It's about 1,000 members strong cannabis club. It's one of the Northeast best hidden secrets, and I'm not sure how much I'm supposed. I am actually saying that with the new project I'm working on, Legacy Culture. We are doing an expose on them coming up in the not too distant future. But yeah, they have a very good discretionary system with their local police. They worked out a system that works for everybody, and because of, I can say it's in Hartlepool, it's a big place, because of how bad Hartlepool is. It's like the Northeast Glasgow. What I mean by that is the drugs epidemic and whatnot. The intravenous drug use is massive. The polydrug use of cocaine and heroin is pretty rampant. So the police generally recognise the harm reduction of, well, at least if 1,000 people in the local area are just smoking weed, or that's their preferred vice, we can tackle. And it just means that the people that sell crack and heroin, well, they're not selling weed anymore because they can't compete with a 25, 30 cultivar menu. And that's what the police used to understand, where we were previously building under the last administration. Obviously, rest in peace, Ron Hogg, bless him. He tragically died. Mike retired. The new administration are a bit obtuse and not wanting to really communicate, but I found a few avenues of approach, and I said, we're going to run these events, and I want to do what I always did. It's all going to be open. Any success I have, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to write about. I'm going to come celebrate, because this could work anywhere. All these loopholes that I use are national loopholes. It's all about the language, the linguistics, and making, when you talk to these cops, that once a cop gets to a certain level, they talk without talking. They know what they're allowed to say, but they know what they want to fucking say.
Yeah, it's simply, you're so right, because and to be honest, if you're being a dick, people aren't going to want to work with you, aren't they?
Antisocial behaviour. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's how you approach it.
Like 420 in Hyde Park, they didn't have them this year, I don't think, but normally they have them, and it says on the boards, anyone consuming or caught consuming cannabis or something like that after 5:30 p.m. will be moved along. Mm-hmm. And what are they actually saying? Up until you can do whatever the fuck you want, you're fine. That's what they're actually saying. But people will argue that, and then you'll have someone running up to a policeman smoking a joint in their face, going, "Oh yeah,
I want to sit on the selfie."
And it's like that's not activism. That's damaging things. You're not helping anybody by doing that. You're literally focusing on yourself and trying to just get clicks and likes.
It's egoism. Yeah. And so that's another element and I maybe have a part to play in that, because I had quite a lot of success when I first stepped into the scene. Like I went on Victoria Derbyshire show. I appeared on BBC Radio a few times. I was in like the Times. I had a lot of attention at several points, you know?
Sell out.
And
Sell out.
but I had that against my want for it. You know, I took so much fucking flack when I reached out to Jeremy Kyle and the Kyle Files, and I set up this fucking thing, and they ended up just dealing with Teesside. My whole bit got cut from the program, and when it was announced, the entire community, fucking, what are you doing? Sell out, da, da, da. And then everybody's got selfies with fucking.
I was joking. God, did people actually say that?
Oh no, yeah, God, dude, I've taken flack for some weird shit when all I'm ever trying to do is advance the conversation, and I get a lot of respect from legacy dealers, and what I mean by that is your good boy vendors. Yeah, they're criminals, and they may like their Rolex and your BM, and they're corporate. Yeah, we can argue.
The law dictates it. They're not criminal.
Exactly. Yeah, but their practices are reasonable and decent, and they understand it, and they know I've got their back. They know I would prefer a world full of lawful dealers than fucking a chain of 100 franchises of this brand and this brand and this brand. Yeah. Whereas a lot of the new dealers that are, or people that have just, as more people will become aware of it because of prescriptions and restrictions lifting on advertising and certain things, and awareness just generally growing, the size of the novice pie, as it were, is growing. And so therefore there's a whole subsection of dealers that are only targeting novice growers, novice consumers, so they don't know what they're looking at in terms of products. They can easily make much larger margins doing unscrupulous practices. Them lot are against everybody. They want just the status quo to continue. Whereas, like I said, some of the legacy people are like, no, I do actually want the opportunity to open 100 lounges. And they are trying to figure out their way. And as you said, they're criminalized entrepreneurs. But then there is something different with this gangster dealer, somebody who is literally like playing Scarface. They are in their own head, you know, when they pick up the pounds or kilos, you know, big bag, they're getting the pictures, and they're wearing the gloves, and they're always like telling you, no, stupid, and all of the language and the culture that goes with that. Again, that's a culture, but the proliferal crimes that they're committing, I do not and cannot condone. Like if you're stealing your electric or whatever, that's theft. You can argue with me about theft from a corporation or whatever. Like if you are hungry and you steal food, moral act, 100%. I didn't see that. Yeah, you take another one. Do you know what I mean? But if you've got a fucking Rolex and you're stealing that fucking electric because I'm a criminal anyway, you're perpetuating that paradigm. And frankly, in some way, you should face at some point punishment. I am not lawless. I believe, you know, nobody should commit harm to another. No rape, no theft, no violence. We shouldn't. If I don't want you to do it to me and you don't have the right to do it to me, I don't have the right to do it to you. Scale that across the world. Yeah?
Literally, Simpa, we agree on so much stuff. You know, at the end of the day, like we're echoing what each other's saying here. So yeah,
the thing is, it's the language, like you said. So we'll jump on. We'll do some quick fire about what's coming at this year's event. Then
I also want to get you onto our seminar zone as well. So Heidi Whitman, empower her. She's actually curating everything. I have to say, it looks incredible. Best one we've ever done. Loads of sexual health stuff, and you'll be able to make your own lubes and things like that at the show, which is kind of a bit abstract and weird. Different. But I'd love to get you on there.
On the lube panel, or just
not on the lube panel, no. Feel free to take part, but no. What I was thinking about was how to win friends and influence people. I think you've been on such a journey, and actually that's quite an interesting perspective for the community. And to actually talk about progress and how we can actually move things forwards and do something positive.
I think what would be quite nice to do is to, rather than me taking up my a big slot and just chatting for quite a period.
They're all mini ones. They're all 15-minute slots.
Oh, nice. What I was going to maybe okay, I'm just going to pitch something for a double header slot. Then maybe
there we go.
Is chairing a panel of champions of different facets of the modern industry. And talking entirely about language, so that what we do is talk about it and come to what I do with everybody every week. We agree, it's just that the words are wrong. Legalization with a capital L is a problem. This is a da-da-da. That doesn't mean that. That actually means this. And once we get past that muddle, like I said, 99% of us agree on this side of it. And I think if we can present that and show that in live time to the audience and to the people who will then go off and champion it, because I remember, was it last year, and I had James from 4C Labs, and we had a back and forth at the end of it, and he came to me afterwards and was like, and we've had a mutual respect since. Not that we didn't prior, but he came to a realization, and I didn't talk him down, but I kind of counted his point, and obviously won the approval of the audience, as it were. But I think that's a really positive thing to do, to show the commonalities, because like you said, if everyone's just focusing on this side, looking that way, the negative, there's 4 negatives. yeah, the 77 billion that you've got in common over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep both in mind at the same time. And I think, yeah, creating that in a live conversation and then having it as the video materials that you put together for people to look at the rest of the year, I think would be invaluable.
Yeah, nice. Nice. Have we addressed London properly? I don't want, I know it's a hot topic. So
yeah, talk about it. Because I was going to ask you about camping location, consumption, parking, etc. So
right, okay, right. Let me try and get this all right. So first off, the move to London. So we outgrew the NAEC. Now it sounds strange, right? Because it's a vast venue. I'm not sure if you're aware of how many people broke in.
Broke in.
Yeah, it came under.
No, I had no idea anybody broke it.
Like that. Oh yeah, every year, and we deal with like huge fines. I think we had about £22,000 fine after the show last year from damage created by people. Someone stole all the toilet seats. What's that all about? And then you've got all the stickers being put on tables. That costs money to take off. £1,800 for removing stickers from tables. So these kind of things, as you grow, it becomes more of a pain point. It's also things like everyone moaned. It's just funny because everyone's, not everyone, but the people that aren't happy about London, they're like, oh, the NAC was great. Do you know how many people complained about how far the car park was away? They're like, I had to walk for miles. And it's just like, well, okay, you don't need to do that anymore. There's parking literally on site and then the Tesco's next door. So that was a problem, and we can't just have that. We can't have people kind of complaining and just getting into the show and just like falling in a slump, a sweaty mess because they've had to schlep it with all their bags and stuff like that. So that's an issue. We want to keep growing. That's the nature of a business. It's the nature of a movement. We grow. If you stand still, there's no progress. And so whilst it's been great having 5,000 people at the NAEC. It has, but that's a drop in the ocean when you think about the UK population. We need to be tapping into new audiences. If we all stand together and we're all in agreement, we're all just shouting at each other the same stuff over and over again, then there is no progress being made. We want some day trade. And so whilst Coventry, Kenilworth, was in the middle of the country, it's also next to nothing. So people wouldn't pop in for a couple of hours, have a look around, catch a seminar, buy some products and go home. They would miss out on the entire weekend. So being in London, the capital, it does offer those transport links. It does offer day trade. So we should be tapping into new audiences and sharing the love, because that's the other thing about all the negativity that we face. That's actually a passion for what we have built. And they're just disappointed that it's moving. People don't like change. I get it. I don't like change. But it's also our responsibility to keep on moving forwards. And that's what we need to do as a mission. We're trying to build this industry that's good for the planet and everyone that inhabits it. And you don't do that just by standing still, serving the same people. So all of that, privacy and security, very important. It has been flagged, and whilst we're lucky, we've never actually had any real issues at the show, and this is why the police have always left us alone, because it's just a completely safe show. New audiences can mean problems, so we need to make sure that we are looking after people, keeping it safe, keeping it secure. And this new venue allows us to do that much, much better. So again, that's really important. The fact that we're in the capital on the year of a general election, that allows us to show the world, hey, this is what it could look like. If we do things properly and we all team up, this is essentially what this utopia how the utopia could become a reality. So those are all the things that we've considered. We've looked at other cities as well, but stacking it all up, international travel as well. London is the easiest to get into, and people can now just fly in, get on a train, and actually end up at the venue. Tottenham Hale's the local station, piece of cake. And then, so there's lots of reasons, there's lots of trade-offs. It's not been an easy decision, but at the same time, it's allowing us to do some very, very cool stuff. We've got more new brands than we've ever had before. We haven't even announced all the diamond sponsors. I'm chasing them down saying, hey, can we announce you now? Because they are epic, like really, really epic. And it'll be the brands that people are like, oh yeah, so Doja's coming and all of the rest of it. So all of that's going to be really good. Are we going to talk about features of the show further down the line? That's why London. That's why London.
No, thinking again, and that's where all of them are the rationale my brain came to when I really thought about it. Again, I'm butthurt in a way because I'm northern. And the difference, it's the logistics, the money. It doesn't quite work. We don't have up here it would need to be a different thing in the same way it would in Wales. They'd need to be far more industrially focused, far more about, and it would become, unfortunately, lost to the hemp lobby. And they would go, oh, we're hemp, not cannabis, and we can't be seen together. And so it just gets lost. And it's, I think, like you said, that Product Earth London, just those two things together, it changes the dynamic of the thing because it is London. Like you said about accessibility.
It's been in different venues as well, right? So it hasn't always been at the NAEC. In fact, it's only been under the NAEC and since like I joined. It's been a number of different places. Peterborough, Birmingham. Yeah, so we move. Things move. It's just the nature of the beast. And whilst we aren't having like the nighttime festivities like after dark and stuff like that, we've sourced Lee Valley down the road. It's beautiful. Like, it's really, really beautiful campsite.
Is that the campsite? Yeah, it doesn't look too far actually on a map. No, I was looking around at accommodation. There's quite a nice nature area as well, just like walking distance out of Product Earth. So anybody that's overindulged could maybe go for a nice little wander and reset a bit if the sensorily overstimulated.
Yeah, exactly. So it's actually genuinely just a really nice spot. And even around it, they're developing all these new kind of houses and things like that. So there's a lot of work and investments going into the area. How I've been describing is like, for those down with the kids, it's the largest mega club in Europe. And for those with kids, it's the old IKEA off the A406. But with it comes infrastructure, with it comes transport links, with it comes safety and security and all this good stuff.
And ease as well, because the NAC, I said you've outgrown it because of the economics of taking the whole fucking site. It's just impossible when people understand how things scale up with that. But it's the limited. I can get that, and like you say, it might not be its future. My hope is there'll be a flagship London, and then we can eventually listen to this Product North idea I've been pitching for several years now, or like a road trip almost. It's like mini sites, just like 20 brands and things, and this here, there, and there, and it all leads to it's the road trip to London and the big show. And
I can actually see us doing a north and south. I can see that being a genuine thing, like much more than like doing a Product Earth France. Don't say Spain. That's everyone else. Product Earth France. I'd much rather do two in the UK, north and the south. I think that would work really nicely. And whoever's has a tough decision to make.
With ties with Scotland as well, I think if you made it more intimately tied with Scotland, they're a small population, but they're a large cannabis consuming entity, and there's a lot of good work happening up there in terms of decriminalization models and access, in terms of hemp farming. For my listeners, I am sarcastically air quoting there. Sorry, Kyle. I respect your work, Kyle. I really do, but you keep using the H word and it bothers me. But I think that would do good and offset a lot of this, because naturally it would just be cheaper. Like for a lot of people, the Saturday premium, for a hotel room in London is, you're going to pay an extra 60 quid on top of what you were paying on the Friday or whatever. And I can understand, versus then a tent, that 20 quid tent, etc. Whereas then in the north, you'd be like, oh, that Premier Inn's 35 quid for 2 nights or whatever. Not quite that low, but you get what I mean.
The campsite solves it. There's loads of Airbnbs. Actually, do you know what? The hotels aren't too bad, especially for London. But
even your big ones like your Travelodge, Premier Inns weren't. I mean, the Premier Inn's full right next door for anybody looking. I think the Travelodges, the 2 ones up the road, I think maybe have the few spots. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of Airbnb, a lot of bed and breakfasts. If you get creative with who you're booking through, folks, you will find something to fit all sorts of budgets, really. You can always commute in and out as well, using your bank card as an oyster to use the tubes. If you stayed somewhere further out of the M25, you could then get in. Well, you'd have to go overground.
Anywhere outside, you come into King's Cross and it's a couple of stops to Tottenham Hale. That's it. So it is very easy to get people to. But on the note of lots of mini Product Earths, we have been talking about a franchise model because one thing we do very, very well, as far as I'm concerned, is we invest in the show in the right way. We get the right insurances. We work with the police. We do our SAG meetings. We've done all of this kind of stuff. And we've learned over the years on how to do this in the most cost-effective way possible. And if we can create mini packages for people to say, hey, I want to do my own version. I want to do a Product Earth Durham. I don't want to stand on your toes, Simpa, with all what you're doing. Let's say someone wanted to do that. Like, here's a way that you could actually facilitate your own version of Product Earth. And then suddenly you've got them popping up everywhere. And like you said, there'll be some flagship ones. Obviously, we're looking at the horizon here, but I think it's always good to be looking to the future, because we have no intention of going anywhere. We're grinding away every single day to put on the best possible show we can. And we hope lots of people will come and enjoy themselves.
Sweet. Can I get a quick clarification on parking? Is there parking at the venue? Is there cost to it? Do you know the costs?
So there's limited parking at the venue. It's probably going to be reserved for those with blue badges, like actually on the site, in the site. They're about to release another car park to us, which will have another 500 spaces. And if not, if you look at the bird's eye view, there's like a huge Tesco's car park next door. That's where I always park.
Do you know if it's run by a lot of them up here? You can't stay more than 2 hours, 3 hours?
I've parked there for hours and hours and hours and never had a problem.
Okay. All right. So send your parking tickets care of Matt at product. No, I'm joking.
The blue badges, please do email us on info@productearth.life. But likewise, I would still like to encourage people to come by train. Or share cars or whatever.
For London, it is accessible. For those interested, it is outside the congestion zone charge, folks. So you wouldn't have to pay that. Just for people want to know. I think it is in the ULEZ though, so check your car is compliant. If you're going to drive in, folks, you have 24 hours from when you have driven in to pay. Otherwise, you get a fine. You then have 2 weeks to pay. Otherwise, at half rate. Otherwise, the fine increases. And then if you don't pay that, it can eventually lead to court judgment against you and shit. So yeah, be smart here, folks. I've been stung going to Parliament a couple of times and like, why the hell am I paying these fines? What's this for?
I've got two at the moment. I completely forgot to pay the Dartford crossing, and it's just like, fuck's sake, it's like £2, and then now the fines are like hundreds. It's like, oh god, what?
Too easy. It's too easy. Okay, so yeah, that clarifies that. Quite happy with that. So obviously, yeah, no after dark. Is there going to be any sort of music entertainment during the day for people?
Absolutely. So I've been waiting because we've actually had someone from the community draw up this music flyer to show what the lineup is. Is it the best one we've ever done? Possibly. So we're very lucky because we work with Scott Garcia. For those of you who don't know Scott, he's the one that created the track It's a London Thing. He's also got Top Cat, Uncle Doug's. I mean, the list goes on.
Big love for TC.
Yeah, so it's star-studded all weekend. So from 11 till 7, and it's not just your drum and bass. Obviously, we've moved away from that because we've listened to the feedback. People don't want that constantly roaring away. Again, it's difficult, right? Because if you listen to what everyone says, we wouldn't have anything. There'd be no exhibitors. There'd be nothing. So we have to take everything with a pinch of salt. But yeah, Scott's really lent into this. He's invested a lot of his time and his money. And Alex at Canacarts, obviously. So it's Loud London and Canacarts are the two sponsors, but Scott Garcia is the person that's bringing it all to us. And yeah, I'm going to get that flyer out ASAP. I just need to get a Facebook safe version in case we get hit by the Facebook police, because it does have cannabis, leaves and mushrooms on it. Nice. I want to put paid media behind it to get it out there, and that may get flagged. So yeah, good to get
you do bring up something that I want to bring up. I can kind of, in my head, I've got what I think you're going to say to it, and maybe you can intimate what it is that I'm going to say. Obviously, the flyer is being generated by the community, as you were saying here.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the previous stuff you've used for marketing this year looks AI generated. Is it?
Yeah, we use AI. It's a tool, but not for everything. And let's be honest, right? AI, it doesn't replace authentic art. If anything, it places more value on it. You know, you get, it's even like journalists like Ruby Devoy, bless her, she's awesome. And you could argue, I mean, I can rattle off her article on ChatGPT, no problem at all. But does that carry the same value as something that Ruby's written? Of course it doesn't. But, you know, in the world of social media where there's this expectation to churn posts out constantly, it's simply just not affordable. So we pick and choose when we use AI as a tool, and when we use authentic artists, journalists, whatever it may be. It's certainly, yeah, we like to work with people as much as possible.
Yeah. Will there be, another was at one of the shows, you did a walkthrough art gallery. Are you doing anything to, I know that was, I think something got stolen. If I'm to believe something, that was true, I don't know.
You've caught me off guard. I'm going to commit to this, but it may blow up in my face. Bruce at Glassworks 710, he is going to be producing a glass gallery this year with all of those, you know, those really beautiful glass pieces. So we're looking to have all of that. If there's enough time, I do want to see if I can get a gallery going as well. But again, everyone thinks there's this massive team behind Product Earth. There just isn't. I run 2 companies. Gavin from the board, he runs his own company, so I get about 25% of his time. A bit of James, the founder, as well. But he's trying to step back. He's been doing it for a very, very long time, and those grey hairs, you can't hide them. So it's a very, very small team, and we work with lots of friends in the industry that help us out as well. Like I said, Heidi Whitman from Empower Hers helping us with the seminar zone this year. We've got Ollie, who's our head of mycology. So he brings us.
It was last week's guest.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
In good company.
Yeah, it's hard to follow him, that's for sure. But so we work with as many different people as we can to help out and put on the best possible show we can. But we are stretched constantly trying to put this beast on, for sure.
No, I get that, and as somebody is a journalist, writer, whatever I want to term myself at this given moment, I understand what it is to want and to need to be paid a value for the work that you produce, and so I can understand, from a business perspective, of the use of AI and its ease of continuity, consistency of branding, etc. I get all of that stuff. One thing I will say to small artists out there is, if you are able to attend and you do want to attend, I might say use the UPA discount code if you need to.
I'll give you one.
Oh, well, there we go. We'll hook one up in the below for you folks. But bring some of your artwork, show some of the stalls, meet some people. You will find your customer base there. Everyone that is there will like the shit you do, or at least understand it, because they are similar-minded people. So come and be bold and brave. Do you know what I mean? Put yourself out there, and people will respond to your work. People will give you feedback. People will give you the kind of the validation and the feedback and the criticism and everything necessary to grow as an artist. So just because you can't get a space, as it were, or that we don't necessarily have the capability under this current setup to do so, doesn't mean that artists should be excluded. So don't self-exclude yourself, guys. Do attend.
I'm gonna try it. I really am. Really, what it is, it's getting the shell scheme put in, making sure there's space. But I can see a world. We've got a handful of glass blowers. We'll have the glass gallery, and then I could see a space next to it where we could actually put, even if it's a small gallery, and then I guess we could do like an info email alias to get people to sign up for doing it. Okay, God, more things, Simpa.
I love putting it. If you put a nice little quick cap on it, because then if anybody drops out from your email of the cap that you've got, you can still put out a request. Again, the people that I've just told to bring art, or if people do bring art and there's a shelf space there, if they want to ask one of the organisers, etc., on the day, why then that couldn't be exhibited. If you almost created a blank space and you go exhibit here, and do you know what I mean? If you kind of had some, obviously you need to retain some sort of control, but. Yeah, I don't know. You know me. I want to be multi-inclusive, and obviously there are more and more people creating more art. So I've just stressed the death out of Matt with that.
On the art side, actually, Simpa, on the art side. So obviously we've partnered with Hempen. You're probably against the name of Hempen as well.
I like them. I've had Hempen on the podcast, and I do like them. And I had my beef with them, but the nice people. I just don't like the H word. But yeah,
I know you don't. Hempen are great people. They do great work. So we've partnered with them for our hemp zone. They're actually doing some demos this year. One of which is going to be like a community art piece that everyone can collaborate on. I have no idea. I need to get Justine on the phone just to find out exactly what's going on. Sounds great, but there's going to be lots of interactive things to take part in, and growing mushrooms on hemp bales, which
nice.
Awesome. Yeah, I need to start growing.
Slapboards. It's something that does kind of work at Spanibus. It does reduce some of the stickerage. I'm just thinking if you're
a board where people just go up and put all their slaps on.
Slaps, because it becomes a competitive thing. If you put it where it's slightly taller than some people as well, higher slap wins, you wouldn't believe the psychology of how easy you can reduce a lot of your damage. But if it's low as well, it's a long board, do you know what I mean? So everyone can get on the bottom, but honestly, you wouldn't. It comes from skate culture. You used to skate like half, and you skate and you slap, and so it comes from that, and it's the psychology of it's there, whether people think about it or realize it or not. When they see that board, my slap. It's a whole thing. So if you do it, honestly, psychologically, it's a few bits of board and cable ties, put them around in a few different locations. Honestly, it'll diffuse it. It'll also feel like people are represented.
I'll get that going. That sounds good. Nice.
Sweet. I'm aware of the time here, so we'll keep rattling.
How are we doing?
You're doing well here. I appreciate this. You're giving us good feedback. think we covered. So yeah, so what time is the event closing on an evening? If there isn't going to be an after dark, like what are the operating hours for the event?
11 till 7, but no one leaves on time, do they? So I think it's 8, but it ends at 7, and you've got
A
an hour.
gradual start, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and it's, to clarify, Saturday, Sunday for people this year?
Saturday, Sunday, yeah, exactly
Open
that.
both days, no B2B?
So we're now very much a B2B and a B2C show, and you'll see that by the brands we've got. So yeah, it's a complete amalgamation, and you'll see from the ticket prices as well, they've come right down. So it's like 30 quid a ticket to make it as welcoming as possible. And as you've already alluded to, there are discount codes out there, and you will have one yourself. So yeah, there's lots of ways to get there.
Awesome. Skate park, is that returning this year?
So Altai Mountain Shilajit, calling him out because he's helping us out. Again, loads of people help us out to get things across the line. He's got, and this sounded crazy to me until I saw the pictures, inflatable skate ramps. Right? Really great, though, because it's just a normal skate ramp, but underneath it, it's all inflated. So he's going to be bringing those along. So bring your skateboards. We're not going to have like BMX competitions. Believe it or not, not loads of people, certain people complained about the BMX side of things. I loved it. That's what the problem is. But I was told it used up too much of the space, and actually people didn't like it. So again, you've got to take things with a pinch of salt. But I'm really, really grateful to Altai Mountain Shilajit. Great products and great skate ramps.
Awesome. So yeah, tickets still available?
Tickets still available, absolutely. On Eventbrite, yeah.
You said you partnered with this campsite down the road. Is there any combination tickets, or is it you book separately? Is it directly linked on the website?
Yeah, it's not a partnership. It's there, and if people want to camp, there you go. Lee Valley. We just wanted to find one.
All right.
I thought it was going to be harder to find, to be honest, but it's just down the road. It's a piece of cake.
Sweet. That'll be in the links below, folks, should you want to check out the camping for that.
And it's on our link tree as well on Insta.
Boom, you'll find the link to that as well in the description below, folks. I think we've covered basically everything I wanted to chat about. I don't want to ask a big ambiguous question that takes us off into me monologuing for the next 20 minutes, because we don't have the 20 minutes. No, I think we're pretty good with that, brother. Anything else you want to shout out to people about Product Earth? Anything else you want to just make public? Anything else I can pull out with you as an exclusive?
Yeah, I just think what's going on at Product Earth. I mean, we've got loads of the same stuff that people love. The food demo zone is going to be there. We've actually got a proper chef coming in to curate the entire space and introduce people properly and make sure that people like Kieran get the airtime that they deserve. So we've got some really interesting food demo stuff. Seminar zone just out of control good this year. Loads and loads of medical brands for people looking for prescriptions, and you'll be able to get your first consultation for free on site, which I know is a barrier to entry for a lot of people for obvious reasons. Hempen are just doing some wonderful things with their hemp demo zone. All the music outside, great F&B. And like I said, you'll start to see these kind of nootropics brands coming in, so you can start your day the right way with my favorite coffee brand, which is London Nootropics. Get some lion's mane in you, and just enjoy the show. It's honestly, it's going to be epic, and I hope everyone has a wonderful time there, to be honest. It's going to be good.
One thing I just think of there, obviously previous years you had, I'm going to try and ask this in the best language. You've obviously, no, it's not bad. I'm just trying to make sure you can answer the question without having, do you know what I mean? Like, you've obviously had medicinal consumption spaces for prescription holders and stuff in the past. Obviously there is an outdoors, you've just alluded to, where the music is, so I don't necessarily need to ask this question, but some people need to hear this answered. Consumption policy.
Enjoy. Stay safe. It's one of those things, right? So the thing that I can talk about very, very openly is that, yes, we do have an area which will be combustion free, which should be for patients, set back on a different level to the music for those with sensory issues and stuff like that. And there will be no combustion of any type in there. It is strictly for those that are vaping their medicine.
Okay. And so I guess if people want to smoke cigarettes, they're welcome the same as just outside if they want to smoke their cigarettes.
It's weird. You come out of the building, go down the steps as the first part, which is where the consumption zone will be, and then where the skate ramps will be, and then you go down another bit, and it looks pretty cool, to be honest. Loads and loads of tables. There'll be the stage with Alex and Scott putting on all the music, all the food, all the smells, which will probably absorb any smells that may be in the environment anyway.
I think yeah, you answered that question. I'll clarify in my outro. But yeah, I'm trying to keep you safe. You know, it's like
Yeah, yeah,
got to
appreciate it.
play the games we do here, and I appreciate you coming on every year to talk about this, and I definitely appreciate you going over sort of these current controversy, if we can call it such.
Yeah.
And yeah, I appreciate your honesty, transparency as always. I think we've covered, yeah, literally everything on here other than me going about classism and hemp words and language and my usual
Yeah,
diatribe, which,
you're going to have to work on me for communism, mate.
yeah, which not. I've got my 15 minutes of Product Earth. You've already confirmed that. I've got it on record now. So yeah, prepare for the Communist Manifesto by Simpa Product Earth. No. All right, sweet. Last question then, I guess, is what are we talking about that we're not talking about? What are we not talking about that we should be talking about? Sorry.
HHC.
Oh shit, that was another question. Given what's happened in Mary Jane Berlin and the issues with synthetics and whatnot, what is the policy for Product Earth this year with semi-legal, quasi-lawful?
No, I don't want your synthetic bollocks at the show. Fact.
It's a strong stance. I like it. No, good. I think it's fair. It's, as I termed it, it's natural medicine, as it were here, whereas all these synthetics are by their nature synthetic. You can argue about molecular reductions and chemical structure changes through natural mediums and from natural bases, but nah, weed is weed, folks. Whether you want to call it hemp, medical, whatever, it's all that cannabis sativa L, baby. All right, cool. Then I think I'll let you go. I think we've timed that pretty well. I hope all goes well at the vets with your new puppy that people can check out on your social media. He is fucking adorable.
He eats everything. Well, Simpa, as always, dude, I really appreciate you, all the work you do. Keep up the good work, and I'll see you at the show.
No worries. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I will catch you in a couple of months. I'll include all links below. Do drop me a discount code so I can get this edited and out, and people can start getting some tickets for them for themselves.
Perfect. As soon as I get back from the vets. Nice one.
Perfect. All right, take it easy, brother. Peace out, man.
Bye.
Well, there you go, folks. That was Matt Clifton, CEO from Product Earth. Yeah, appreciate that conversation. Very well timed. Yeah, we're going to basically be doing this every year, I think, before Product Earth, just talking about what's different, what's changed. Hat off, kudos to Matt for covering some of the sort of covering controversies that are going on. I still don't personally think that Curaleaf are a good fit. I get what he's saying about them not lobbying over here yet, I would say, for restrictions on homegrown in the UK, because obviously the medical cannabis industrial complex is very much still in its infancy, even though it is very much taking over the emerging global industry. But yeah, hope we gave you every answer to all the questions you might have had about Product Earth this year, why it's moved, what is going to be available. If you check it out on maps around Google Maps or whatever Bing's version of maps is, I guess, or whatever version of maps you use, you'll be able to get a good idea of kind of where the venue is, what is around it. If you check out Lee Valley in the links below, that is the nearest campsite. Do seem quite reasonably priced for what it is, and it is in quite easy accessible, probably even walkable. I don't know how scaled in my map was when I was looking at it, to Product Earth. So yeah, do check that out. I think we covered everything in terms of consumption, which I can say now that Matthew's left, of course you can fucking consume at Product Earth. Can't consume inside, but you've never been able to consume in Product Earth. ... You get me? I'm not encouraging people to break the rules and consume inside. I'm just saying that some people consume inside. That's all I'm saying. I would assume a similar thing would happen in the drum sheds. An organization that is celebrating cannabis and cannabis culture and putting on an event of this scale, I don't really think is going to tell you off for consuming cannabis. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there's plenty of outdoor spaces. There's obviously the live music. I imagine, as in previous years, they will provide sort of seating in various little nooks and whatnot, so people can enjoy hopefully what will be some sunny weather. It is September. It is London. I think because of the pollution, it's generally warmer. I think it's 1 degree warmer on average in London than the rest of the UK. So whatever the weather, you'll be slightly warmer than you would be at home, at least. But yeah, we covered all of that. Check out the Product Earth website for sort of further details. They do have an FAQ, frequently asked questions section. You can always reach out to their pages as well with any questions and queries. I think, yeah, there's a contact section on the website as well, so you can ask them directly any questions. Yeah, discount code should be in the link below. I don't currently have it, but as soon as Matt is back from vets and Huxley, his little pup, is found to be all right, whatever the issue is, I'm sure it'll be fine. Then yeah, I'll have that discount code so you can get some cheaper tickets for yourselves for the upcoming event. All right, I've covered everything that I wanted to. You've been beautiful folks. Yeah, if you'd like to, if you enjoyed this, if you'd like to give us a thumbs up, a rating, a star, whatever it is on your platform that you use to enjoy this podcast on, would greatly appreciate any support as always. If you really enjoyed this, check us out on patreon.com/Simpa Life, where for less than a cup of coffee a month, you can help me keep the lights on this little project. Check out thesimpalife.com for more articles, backlog of my Weed World work, etc. Most of my work moving forward is going to be released through the Legacy Culture brand that me and Tyler Green have launched. You can also find us at Product Earth along with the Simpa Life podcast, this podcast. So come say hello, come introduce yourselves in a couple of months at the event. But until then, yeah, check out the website. We have some good content coming up covering many, many things, not just the legacy culture of cannabis, but legacy cultures, full stop, of various different subcultures and collectives of groups around the UK. So yeah, should be something for everybody, hopefully. All right, you've been wonderful, folks. Yeah, we'll be back next week with somebody. I don't know. It'll be awesome. You'll love it. I'll love it. All right, be wonderful to each other. I will see you next week. Peace and love. Yeah, I think we're done here. I think this was good. Didn't get to mention one of the other bits of news, which I can't find where I've written it down. There was something. It was important. I'll mention it next week if it's still important. But yeah.